Ellie, it is so nice to meet you. And full disclosure, you get preferential treatment because you're from Halifax and I am too. So it's nice to see you. And I got to say, I'm jealous. I haven't been home in a year and a half. How are things in Nova Scotia?
Oh, well, I'm super excited to be here, but in Halifax, I've been spending so much time and things are doing really well here. It's nice to see the community really supporting each other through these tough times. I've spent a lot of time in Halifax this past year, more than I have probably in the past 10 years. So it's been really nice just to, get connected with the roots and really appreciate what we have at home.
Obviously, the implications of what's gone on over the past year, Ellie, for you meant the Olympics were put on hold as you gear up. And I know, any elite athlete has to hone their body so you peak at a certain time. So that had to be difficult for you, but you were also overcoming an injury. So I'm wondering, when it was revealed that Tokyo would be put on hold, what went through your mind?
I think it was a really tough time. The Olympics are something that as athletes work towards for, over 4 years, a really long time. And it's kind of the end of the quad that we really start to peak. And there was a silver lining because I was coming off of a pretty big ankle injury. I hurt my ankle at the 2019 World Championships just, 4 months before that. And I didn't necessarily have the proper amount of time to heal and to be at my strongest for the Olympics. It wasn't to say it wasn't possible. I had just competed my first all around competition back and it went pretty well, 2 weeks or a week before the world shut down. And so that was a really positive thing. But to be at my strongest, I think this extra year definitely gave me an opportunity. It gave me a little bit more time to heal and rest and be a little bit more confident in my ankle. I definitely had the confidence that I would be able to get what I needed done for my team and to be ready for the 2020 summer games. But, that being postponed gave me a little bit of extra time. And I think it's definitely paid off.
It is universally acknowledged that you are the leader on this team. You are a veteran. You've been through adversity and challenge before. How were you able to support your younger teammates through this time?
I really tried to pull from the experiences that I have had and share those with, my team and the younger ones on the team, and really just try and make them feel supported. I think the biggest thing we did was together as a team, we had lots of Zoom calls. We put it out there that, anything you need, we are here to support you. And we had a great team going. And I think for me, it was just letting the girls know that if they needed someone to talk to, they needed a listening ear, they needed to talk through some feelings, or they just needed, to know that someone was there supporting them. I was going to be there for them, and it was vice versa. I knew that they had my back as well, because sometimes being the leader on the team, we take on a lot of responsibility of being there for everyone else. But it's really nice to know that the team is also there for you if you need it. You don't always have to be that strong one that can never, break down a little bit or have a shoulder to lean on.
What about the physical aspect? The mental aspect is one thing, but you also have to get back up to your peak now. Um, and you don't necessarily have the facilities at your disposal the way you would. I mean, how were you able to adapt from a training perspective?
It was very scary in a sense. And in gymnastics, it's kind of been the mindset that you don't take off months at a time. You take small breaks, but never massive months unless you're injured. And so that was a big thing to adapt to, coming to home training and training from home, and figuring out the balance between how much to do, making sure we're not exhausting ourselves, but also taking the time to rest a bit from everything that's going on in our lives. And I think it was definitely a very different change. I looked at it a lot like overcoming an injury. When you're injured, you're not able to practice in the gym or train on the apparatus. Really, what you have to do is just keep your mind and body strong, keep up your flexibility and your conditioning, and that's what we were able to do from home. It's you can't train the apparatus. There's nothing that really mimics that other than training it. So to not be able to do that for so long, but when we got back, I think we realized, we we are so much more resilient and stronger than I think we thought at the beginning. And we gained a lot of confidence from that experience, to know that no matter what we have to go through, we're going to face it head on and we're going to come out of it and be able to handle that.
Ellie, it's clear that you're a very positive person. Where does that come from in you? Have you always been this way?
I think it's something that I've definitely learned over time, and I've kind of grown into it as a person. When I was younger, I was a little bit more shy. I was very nervous. I wasn't as outgoing, and definitely not as positive as I am right now. And I think a lot of that I've learned from experience, and then also from my coaches and my support team around me, and my family and my friends. I think I've learned a lot of how the power of positivity can really help you, just not even in as an athlete, but overall in your life, and really having an appropriate mindset towards what you're tackling. And so for me, a lot of the time I would get frustrated or I'd be upset, and my coach, he always kind of just tried to pull me down and remind me and like ground me. And I think that's something about the positivity is, I've had a lot of obstacles I've had to overcome over the years. I've had a
Mhm.
lot of injuries. I've had a lot of mental blocks, a lot of things that did not go to plan. And when you're in those situations, life is full of those. There's so many obstacles you have to overcome in life, and when you're facing those situations, you have to look at it in a way of how am I going to overcome this, and what is going to help me to do that. And so for me, that's the positivity that comes through, is really trying to take any situation, and instead of focusing on the negatives, try and focus on the positives. Focus on what's in your control, and not the things that are out of your control, or the things that have happened that you can't change.
What about your family? You have two elite athletes as siblings, and you have parents who have somehow managed all of that throughout your lives. What's your family like?
We have a very busy family. I would say growing up, we were all very active, very, very busy. I think our parents just wanted us to experience everything, and have all the opportunities we could possibly try. And for us, we were a really big sport family. My mom didn't do a lot of sports growing up, but my dad did, and that was something that they wanted us to be involved with, was like a healthy lifestyle and being active and trying sports. And so for me and my brother, we chose gymnastics, and my sister did figure skating. But I think it all kept us so busy, but I'm so grateful for what we've learned from sports and we've taken away from it. We're still very busy to this day. Even as we've moved on, my sister's pursuing a nursing degree, and my brother is also studying, and I do studies here and there, but I'm still pursuing my sporting career. And my parents are still working.
One thing that I'm always struck by when I watch gymnastics is the youth, right? I mean, it's a sport now very much designed to peak when you're at a very young age. The mental strength of a kid going into international competition. I mean, what do you have to be like to be ready for that at the age when you were entering into that as a teenager?
As I entered into the international competition, I was, around 15 years old. I was quite young, and it's very difficult. You don't really know what to expect, and especially from such a young age, you have to be very independent, and very dedicated, and you have to just have that commitment, and that competitiveness, and that focus to just go out on the competition floor and be competing internationally in the world, and traveling on your own, or with your coaches, and with your parents. But it's a very big change. And I went to my first Olympics when I was 16 years old. I was one of the youngest on my team. I was definitely the least experienced. And that was something for me that was so nerve wracking, because I hadn't done anything like that before, and I didn't have that experience. But I think the most important thing was just really being in the moment, and having confidence in your abilities and yourself, and just saying, what, this is a learning experience, this is an opportunity, and I'm going to take this opportunity and just put my all out there on the competition floor and try my best.
I'm listening to you. I'm just struck by your wisdom, and you're still only 25. You're young, but it makes me. I understand why so many Olympians go on to become life coaches and coaches, because I'm like, teach me. How do you I mean, how do you do that at the age of 16 and perform that well at an Olympic Games when you're that young? Um, it's you have an incredible, obviously, mental capacity. And how do you deal with nerves? That's what I want to know. Like, because I mean, I feel like I would fall down. That would be it. I'd be done.
We still get nervous. I still get nervous for competition, especially in gymnastics. You're getting up on a 4-inch beam. That is probably the most nerve wracking of them all. And you're standing up there, your legs are shaking. You're just telling yourself, like, please stop shaking. Like you do this every day in practice. But I think it's really just practice. You practice in training like you want to compete. And obviously, being at the Olympic stage, world stage, it really changes. But we're so focused on our routines and our skills, and when you're kind of on the apparatus, your blinders are on, you're so focused and you're so in the zone that some of those nerves do melt away. And I find for me, I'm most nervous before I get out onto the competition floor. And then, like, moments before I go, I feel those nerves, but just focusing on the breathing and reminding yourself that you do this every day and you've practiced this, and just instilling that confidence in yourself can help bring down those nerves. But definitely a lot of practice. I've competed in lots of competitions, and you can definitely look at them and say, okay, my results from these competitions, I felt more confident, I felt more comfortable, and I had less nerves. And then you can compare that to others. But I do say that nerves are actually very important. I think they show that you care and they keep you focused on what you have to do. So I don't think taking away nerves is ever going to really happen. But it's just learning how to manage them over time.
Well, I'm wondering, I mean, you have so many career highlights and your 5 Pan Am medals in 2015, your 2017 silver medal at the Worlds. Is there a single competition that you can identify as being in the zone, like where you actually remember just being in that place? Does it exist?
Oh, it's really hard to say. Um, I feel like there's been a lot of competitions that I really just felt, I was in that zone. And I would say, actually, the 2016 Olympics in the all around final, I really felt comfortable and confident, and I felt like I could go out there and show what I've been practicing. And the 2017 Worlds, it was a really amazing experience. And I felt a lot of nerves at that competition because I did have so many friends and family and fans watching me, but I also felt so loved and so supportive. And I think that's just what kept me fighting throughout the whole competition, to show what I needed to do. But I've had a lot of competitions where my preparation hasn't been exactly perfect. I'm coming off of an injury or something happened like right before. And I think it's really, as an athlete, just being adaptable and being able to put those things aside and really just rise to the occasion.
From a team perspective, you're part of a generation that's now, putting Canada really on the map in gymnastics. Canada is a contender, right? How does that feel as a team?
It's really incredible. We've been working so hard on our team and the team dynamic for so many years. I remember in 2012 at my first Olympics, that's the first time we qualified a team to the Olympics in a really long time. And that was an accomplishment in itself. And our team finished fifth, which was a historic record for Canada. And I think that really just sparked something within us and within gymnastics in Canada, that we did see that we had that potential to be the top in the world, and we could be competitive in that way. And really working together was the key to getting us there. All the coaches, then we started trying to work together and get our girls to train together more, have more camps, really feel connected, feel like a family, and be supportive. And I think that's something that we've really worked on over the past two quads to get to where we are now. We have a phenomenally strong team. I would say over the past few years, we've had the strongest team we've ever had. And it's just really that sense of family and support, and knowing that we're all competing for the same spots, but we're all trying our best, and we're doing it for Canada. We're doing it for those next generations. We are doing it to show the world that Canada does have that level of gymnasts, and we are there to challenge as a team, not only on individual apparatus. But it's been really inspiring for me to see and to be a part of, because I want the next generations to be able to see what we're doing now, and see that that's a possibility, and believe in themselves that they're going to get there someday and they can be one of the top in the world. And so I think it's just an incredible thing to have been a part of over the past, 8 years, and see how far we've actually come.
Well, when you talk about the next generation, so many young girls and boys are looking up to you. How seriously do you take being a role model?
I think it's probably one of the greatest things I've actually gotten out of my sport was having the opportunity to be a role model for so many. Not only in gymnastics, but in all aspects of life and sport. Even it doesn't even matter your age. It can be the next generation. It can be someone who's much older than me. But I think it's something that I really am grateful for having that opportunity. I know from when I was younger, being able to, one of my role models was actually one of my first coaches, and being able to see what they were able to achieve. It's so incredible to see, and it's so inspiring. I was definitely not an all-around gymnast when I was younger. I was more of a specialist. I was told that I should not do bars. I wasn't going to be an all-around gymnast, and so just to show that, even if you're not great at something at the beginning, you can always get better. If you have dreams, you can achieve those. And I had a lot of strong role models.
Who did you want to be? Was there somebody that you watched on TV and thought, I want to be that, I want to do that?
Oh, I just remember, like, so my coach now, his name's David Kikuchi, and he's a two-time Olympian for gymnastics in Canada. And I remember watching him at the Olympics, and it was the 2008 Olympics, and I was watching Elise Hoffner-Hibbs from Canada as well, and Nancy Damianova, and I just remember sitting down and watching and saying, "That's I want to do that someday. I would love to represent Canada at the Olympics." And I remember sitting down with my coach at the time, KG Yamanaka, and we created a plan of how we were going to get there. It did not go as planned. But, I think that just, it really sparked that dream, being able to watch the Olympics on TV and know someone there, and have met some of these athletes, and seeing what they were able to achieve. It was so inspiring. And so I definitely looked up to them. But the coach, who was actually one of my first coaches, her name's Crystal Gilmore. She's actually married to my current coach now, David Kikuchi. So it's really cool. I was able to be coached by her, and she still helps me out in the gym now. But she was an athlete that I really looked up to as well, because we had a similar style of gymnastics, and I related to her so much. And she competed at the 2000 Olympics for Canada as well.
Is it true there have been Zoom competitions or competitions sort of that are virtual?
Yeah,
How does
so
that work?
it's crazy, honestly. I never thought I'd be doing a Zoom competition in my life. But I just did one, a month ago, and I'm doing one in a week. But basically, you're doing the competition from your own gym. We had either a local judge come in, or Zoom in and make sure the equipment was all to code, and all according to the standards. And then they'd stay on the Zoom, or they'd stay and watch the competition and make sure that you're doing the proper warm up. And when you put your hand up to compete, that's the video you're going to videotape and send. So you'd videotape your competition routine and then send it to the same panel of judges, and they judge everyone's routine at the same time. So that's how it works for gymnastics.
Wow.
But I'm not sure about the other sports. But yeah, it's a crazy thing to be a part of. It's very cool though. It's nice to have something to work towards, and having, even though it's not in person, having a competition of some sort to kind of keep that competitive, passion alive.
Ellie, I'm going to leave you with a question we leave all of our guests with, and that is, what is your best advice to a young you?
I would say my best advice to a young me, or a young anyone out there, would just be to enjoy the process and trust in the process. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, but just try and enjoy the process as much as you possibly can, and know that you are strong and you can overcome those, and you will overcome them. And, to make mistakes and have obstacles to overcome and have failure, that's what makes you stronger. These things you have to be resilient through, these make you stronger, and they build your character and you up as a person and as an athlete. So I would just say, but trust the process, really enjoy it for what it is. Don't give up when there's hard times, because those shape you into the person you are today.
Well, you're a joy to speak with and you're a joy to watch, and we are all rooting for you. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.